So let's get into it. So let's start with the Madison project, right? So when we first spoke, you just started the project. Now it's done. So the grocery store aspect is something that's important for
sure.
the communities of every community, but especially, Black communities and communities that have been disenfranchised. So you put together that it's a mixed use of grocery store and actually housing. So talk about start to finish, some of the challenges that you faced, obstacles, and why that project is important and why it's important for Madison, Wisconsin, which a lot of people don't even know. Madison, Wisconsin actually has a Black population.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Pretty sizable.
One of the most disenfranchised ones in the country too.
Yeah. So talk about that project and just kind of give us the lay of the land on that.
So yeah, like you said, 150 units above a grocery store. So you go to larger metropolitan cities, you'll see this combination growing, right? Grocery store with housing above. What you don't typically see is affordable housing above a grocery store. It's typically market rate because in the majority of those areas, grocers look for higher income at the end of the day. It's one of the lowest margin businesses that you can have out there. So if you're in an area of poverty and people are, it's a higher rate of theft, that decreases your margins. So it was a very difficult time finding a grocer that wanted to actually be in the area. I mean, I talked to Aldi's, I talked to Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, you name it. I talked to all of them and they're like, nah, we're not interested. And ironically, Kroger had just purchased a Pick and Save next door when they were shutting it down because it wasn't a part of their expansion and their footprint. They're opening new stores, but this one, they're like, nah, we're out. So this RFP was from the city of Madison and said, hey, we need a grocery store and we want to do housing. So I competed.
RFP is the
request for proposal. Good point. So the city put out, hey, we have 3.5 acres worth of land. We want someone to come in and develop this. Someone sent it to me. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me check it out. At that time, I was thinking about doing a 9% tax credit deal or a 4% tax credit deal. It's two different ones. One is competitive, one's not. And the 9% round, based on the timing in which they put it out, was already passed, so I would have had to wait a year. What I did creatively was put it as a 4% deal because I had more time to submit that. And I actually got my application in and was able to deliver a year before anybody else.
So talk about, what does that mean, 4% tax credit deal?
So the low-income housing tax credit is broken out into two different things, 9% and 4%. It's a very complex structure, to be honest, so won't even get into it heavily. But at the 9%, 70% in theory of all the total development costs will be funded by that. And then on the 4%, 30% of your total development costs will be funded by that. So if you think about, okay, cool, I have a deal that's $100 million. I'm getting $70 million from this tax credit. I'm getting $30 million from this tax credit, just to keep it simple. So most we're looking at it from the 9% perspective because you get more credits. But I was thinking about how do we creatively do it quicker with the 4%. And Wisconsin had just introduced a state credit that mirrored the 9%, all this extra stuff. But I ended up creating value by saying, okay, let me financially engineer this thing so I can outpace all of my competitors. There were 4, I think, primary applicants or 4 finalists at the time when we responded. I was one of the 4. And then I went to a ton of community meetings. I mean, I'm out there getting there at 6, 7 p.m., leaving at midnight, literally staying there, waiting to the last single person left, answering every single question. So I was building with the community as much as I could. And ended up getting awarded in December of 2019, ironically, right around the time we were talking about it. No, it must have been September. Q4 of 2019 is when I got it awarded from the city. But that was just the first step. Once you get the land awarded, you got to go and actually put the financial plan together. So then I'm applying for tax credits. So when we did our interview, I got the land under contract, but I had to go out and apply for the tax credits. So I applied for that, ended up getting it awarded, found a grocer. It didn't work out with that grocer. It was a Black and Latino-led grocery store. So you had a Black-led development team. I partnered with a local nonprofit, and then we had a Black and Latino grocery store, and we had so much flack. I mean, from
government?
Everybody. Nah, the government was on my side.
Community?
Luckily, the mayor wanted to see the Black developer, move forward. It was a community, yeah. Some parts of the community. So this one, let's say it's a circle, right? 60% of this circle is black community, 20% is Hmong, and there was a white community there.
Said Hmong?
Yeah, like Asian.
Okay.
Yeah, they were like, it's a Hmong Asian community over there as well.
Like Mongolia? What's Hmong mean?
I don't know where it
What's Hmong mean? I never heard that before.
That's a good
That's
point.
like an acronym?
Nah, it's like ethnicity almost.
Okay.
So, it's kind of like...
Ty, go on the Google search on this one.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Hmong.
Let's not get us banned.
Yeah, that's a fact. But yes, it's an Asian community. It's black. It's a melting pot. Black, Asian, Hispanic, etc. But this small kind of white community was very supportive, and it was more affluent than some of the other neighborhoods around. It was very supportive, but there was a couple bad apples that were like intentionally trying to pull it down because they didn't want me to succeed. Which ironically, I won't say the names of some of the organizations, but leading black-led organizations in this country, in the world, were fighting against me doing this development.
Why?
It was the most irrational thing.
What was their reason that they were saying?
They just wanted another developer. The majority developer that was local, they thought he was a better fit to be the developer.
Was he black?
Of course not.
That's interesting. The race part is one thing.
Yeah.
But even for us, like even now dealing with like real estate and dealing with developers, that's an issue. But dealing with municipalities is an issue too. You said the mayor was on your side.
Yes.
Talk about that process, because I'm sure there was challenges dealing with municipalities trying to get this development off.
Yeah, it was. Typically there is, but this one actually not many. They were fully on my side because the RFP came from them. They had a vested interest in moving this forward too. They wanted to see the grocery store.
Okay.
They appreciated that it was a black developer coming into a city that was black and had a tremendous amount of black issues. And they wanted to see me grow and prosper. I found a local nonprofit that I could partner with because they knew the local lay of the land a little better. They knew where the pockets of money were in Dane County and the city of Madison, et cetera. So the municipalities were actually great. It was not an issue with them at all. They were fully, to this day, I have a call today with them about the grocery store. And to this day, Dan Ropes, who I met with, he's been phenomenal across the board. He's staff level at the city. So they've been great.
When you're fighting the people that were trying to stop this and derail the development, how are you facing this? Like, how are you meeting this challenge?
I think just really forming relationships and allies, having the common council with you. So every city, there's a mayor and then there's a council that governs like all of the decisions that are made. So in this development, there was I was in one's district, but across the street was another district. So those two council people in particular were very influential in like keeping their constituents at bay. Again, there were a couple bad apples that was like, nah, we just don't want him to do it. For no reason. I mean, they just thought that I couldn't do it, to be honest. I knew I could do it. Clearly it's done, so it got done. But other than me being a young black developer, they just didn't want that. But having those allies in the city definitely helped me overcome some of those challenges.